on a day like today, the 4th of July, we celebrate the independence of our country over British rule. And all over the nation today, if weather permits, you're going to see in your neighborhood firecrackers are going to be going off. If folks are able, they're going to try to have their cookout. I know this weekend was kind of a wash, but they're going to try to have their cookout, and American flags are going to be everywhere, as they should be. We are a blessed and amazing country. We celebrate the independence, and more importantly, we celebrate the Christian values that the country was based upon, and some of the key things that this country was based upon. Now understand this. It's important to understand that in the process of gaining this country's independence, the founding fathers needed to draft what was called the Declaration of Independence. In other words, they were declaring that this land is going to be a country in and of itself apart from British rule. And in this document, it had a couple of purposes. They said one of the purposes of this document is to file grievances against the king of Britain. These are the things that the king has been doing, and it's wrong. And then the other point for the Declaration of Independence was to point out for all the other possible allies, hey, we're trying to be a country, and we may need your help in this. Now, how were they going to gain help in making this Declaration of Independence public? They had to list the values of the country. In other words, a country could look at what would be the United States of America and say, well, why should we help you? Do we have the same interests? And so in the Declaration of Independence, it highlighted all the values that the country is going to be based upon, hoping that people would see the good that we were trying to start with, the good that we were trying to build with, and then help us to become the country that we were called to be. You see, in order to gain support, that's what needed to happen. Now, one such value was an emphasis on the right of the people. And I don't mean to give you a history lesson. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. One of them was the right of the people. In other words, you do not serve the government serves you. They work for you. They must care about your interests. They must care about the values of the people in their community. And so whatever the decisions that they make should be based off of the good of the people, as opposed to the reverse. I believe sometimes we get that a little twisted, but that's another message. Another value, and that's a wonderful thing, because people are seeing this, outside countries are seeing this like, man, this is amazing. This is a country that's going to be serving its people. It's not going to be dictatorship. It's not going to be what we've seen before, but this is going to be amazing. They're going to serve the people that are going to build their country. You can sign me up for that. I can be an ally with that. Another value that was listed in the Declaration of Independence is the natural rights of every human being. Those rights are, but not limited to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In some versions, and some say you can break down the pursuit of happiness as the right to own land, the pursuit of happiness. And so again, man, this is wonderful. Natural rights of every human being. Somebody say every. Of every human being. You mean everybody gets an opportunity to build and to grow. Man, that sounds like a dream country. This is amazing. I can get behind that. Another value was stated in the Declaration of Independence is that this is a nation that sees all men, somebody say all, that sees all men as being created equal. Doesn't that sound amazing? Sounds good. And so you're reading the Declaration of Independence, man, this country is going to be founded on such amazing and great values. Who wouldn't sign up for that? And in the midst of all of that, it was based off of godly principles. You can say what you want about the United States of America, and a lot of it I would agree with, but trust me, I've been around some places, and I'm telling you now that God has his hands on these United States of America, and I believe it's because it was founded on Christian principles. Yes, we've strayed. Yes, we've done things wrong, but it was still, I believe God still honors the foundation. And in some ways, I believe that's our saving grace. But there's another value that it puts. All men are created equal, along with the Christian principles that this nation was founded on. These are the values that will serve as a foundation for our nation to build on. Family, this is why Juneteenth should be recognized by every American and not just African Americans. Here's why I say that. Because Juneteenth exists because it was a moment where we realized that the values that this country was built on were not being lived up to and honored. We have the right to say, you said these were your values. The same way a wife gets to look at her husband and say, you said these were your values. You said this is what we can build our marriage on. The same way a husband can look at his wife and say, you said this was the foundation of marriage we can build and have children with and own a home with. Why are you changing things up? I'm going to call you on your stuff. And so we need to celebrate and not get upset about it and say, oh, there goes another holiday. We need to celebrate the fact that Juneteenth is now recognized as a federal holiday because it is a sign or a good step forward, a step in the right direction that this nation is saying, you know what, you're right. We said all men, and for quite some time, all meant some. But we said these were our values. And so we're going to do what we got to do to at least take a step. Somebody say a step in the right direction. You see, values enable us to do that. It's the value system that was put out there. That value was never put out there. I mean, it would still be wrong, but we wouldn't have that much of a leg to stand on. Well, you said you weren't going to like me when I came here, so I guess what I expected. But if you say all men, and that includes me, then I get to call you on your mess when it shows up.